Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this info session. Before we begin today, I'd like to acknowledge that our group is joining this call from a couple of different locations today, and I want to acknowledge that we're all speaking from the traditional territory of many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. Personally, I'm located in Toronto or Takarano, which is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and it's now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. The Canadian Academy supports and promotes the narrative sovereignty of all Indigenous peoples. We recognize all First Peoples who were here before us, those who live with us now, and the 7 generations to come. We encourage you to find out on which traditional lands you reside and to familiarize yourself with the longstanding history of that land and your place in that history. Following in the footsteps of Indigenous peoples, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land, to respect the cultures, ceremonies, and traditions of all who call it home, and to commit ourselves to working in a spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all. Thanks so much again for joining us today, everyone. Today's session, we want to make a note that both the info session today and the program that goes on in the next couple of months will be conducted in English, and the placements made as a part of this program will be made in English dominant environments. Upon request, our program will offer translation to French whenever possible.
Bonjour tout le monde. La séance d'information et le programme se dérouleront en anglais et les placements seront effectués dans des environnements majoritairement anglophones. Le programme offrira sur demande une traduction vers le français dans la mesure du possible.
Thanks so much. We also want to point out for those who are French speakers that we have a couple of additional resources that are bilingual, if that is easier for you, including all of our rules and regulations documents, some of our previous FAQ documents from other years, as well as previous info sessions from a couple years ago. Those were totally bilingual, which you can find on our YouTube channel for the Canadian Academy. You can also email us your questions in French to programs@academy.ca, and we will respond to you. If you email us in French, we'll respond to you in French. And if you're having trouble finding any of these resources, you can also email us and we can point them out to you. As you can also see today on the slide deck, all of the information on the slides will also be written out in French. So thanks everyone again, and welcome to our info session for the 5th year of the Women in Post program, presented by our partner Netflix. We're really excited to be chatting with you and to have this program return. This program is administered by the Academy of Canadian Cinema and Television, and we are an organization whose mandate is to build lasting change in the Canadian industry by nurturing opportunities for creative and authentic storytelling. And our talent development programs, we're very proud of them, are definitely part of that mandate. Today, we are 2 people on our talent development team who will be talking to you about the Women in Post program. We'll just introduce ourselves so it's not awkward. I'm Nancy. I'm the manager of talent development programs at the Canadian Academy. I use she, her pronouns and Elle in French.
And I'm Emeraude. I'm the coordinator of talent development programs, and I also use she, her, and elle in French.
Thank you, Emerald. Well, today we have a couple of things that we'll share with you. We've just done our welcome and intro, and we'll share a little bit about housekeeping for using this Zoom webinar. We'll also share a couple of pieces of information just to get everyone more acquainted with the information that we've already sort of shared at launch about the Women in Post program so that we all know a little bit to start, including touching on who's eligible for the program, how to apply for the program, a couple points of how adjudication works, so selection, and we'll tell you about what the key dates are coming up next. We do want to dedicate as much of this time as possible to your questions, so we'll try to get to Q&A as soon as possible, so you can start thinking about those questions as we go through our deck here. So on the housekeeping side, just a couple of boring rules about Zoom. Because we're doing this webinar in the Zoom webinar format, you can submit your questions to us in the Q&A button that should be at the bottom of your screen on that black bar. It should read Q&A. You can write your question in either English or French. We will answer all the questions in English today. If we can manage some French, we'll do our best. One thing to note about this webinar is that we've found that it is helpful to, if you can try to prioritize any questions that you have that are a little bit more general about your application or about any questions that you have about the program at large, that's more helpful for us to answer on the info session today. If you have any questions about your sort of personal eligibility situation or personal details about your application materials, you're always welcome to send those to us via email so that we can have a sort of a more in-depth engagement about what those specific questions might be. Please also remember that it might take us a little bit of time to get to your question in the Q&A queue, so please submit it only once, and be patient with us as we try to make our way to your question. Of note that this is being recorded, and we will put it up on the Canadian Academy's YouTube channel in the following days if you want to revisit any of the things that we've said in our info session today. And if you have any additional questions that we won't get to today, or if in the course of applying or looking through our website you have any other questions, please do feel free to send us an email to programs@academy.ca. So we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this program. Women in Post is intended to provide a higher level of industry access to post professionals who generally identify in that emerging to mid-career level. It's also a space that we're creating for those who are women identifying and non-binary creatives in this industry. And people in our past cohorts have worked across all areas of post-production. Some of the programming in this initiative includes strategic learning modules in group programming sessions. We also focus on both the creative and technical skills building as well as soft skills building. And we want to, as much as possible, create an opportunity for hands-on mentorship at a post-production company or shadowing at in a post-production related role to give our participants that sense of what does that job look like in the room. Take it away, Amaron.
I started talking and I was on mute,
Makes
but
sense.
to the program overview. So this year we'll be taking up to 10 participants for the Women in Post program. The program starts October of this year and ends in April of 2026. Our team will secure placements for each participant that involves shadowing a post-production professional in their field of choice and one-on-one opportunities with creatives in the industry. These placements are based on the availabilities of the mentors and tailored to the participants' needs. There is no set length for the placements. They could be 1 day, they could be 4 days, or they could be 5 days in a row. The max we've done in the past is about 10 days with a specific mentor, but these will all be tailored for you. We also have virtual modules in the form of group sessions, and topics could include post-production pipelines, color, VFX, sound, and these will be hosted by guest speakers. Um, um, and this year we'll have about 8 virtual sessions. You can also apply to the program in French or in English. We have French staff, such as myself. And if you need any accessibility adjustments, feel free to contact us and we will be able to assist you with that. Just to reinforce this statement, there will be no fees to apply for the program or to participate, and you will receive a honorarium for participating in this program. For program eligibility, participants must be women identifying or non-binary, but this is not limited to trans, two-spirit, or third gender individuals. You must have a minimum of 2 screen credits in post-production, not limited to short films, feature films, commercials, music videos, or a digital series on YouTube or Vimeo. You must be able to attend all events and programmed activities. So these would be the virtual sessions, be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident of Canada, be at least 19 years of age, and be able to travel within Canada. And this last point is for placements in particular. So you might be located in Victoria, BC, and you have a placement in Vancouver. So we would want you to be able to go to your placement in Vancouver. Or if there are opportunities that we find you would be beneficial in Toronto and you're in Halifax, we would want you to be able to come to Toronto for those opportunities.
Thanks, Emerald. And just to kind of give more context to that point, it is fairly limited, the requirement to travel, and we work with all of our participants to make sure that whatever like travel requirements or suggestions are made as a part of this program do also work with that participant's own capacity and schedule. So how to apply? It is an online application at our portal, academy.ca/women in post. Please note you have to have a Google account to use this portal. It doesn't have to be your long-standing Gmail or anything. You can just like create a Google account and take a look at the portal. We want to hammer home there are no application fees because we love a freebie. And on our application checklist for this year is we would ask you to submit a CV slash resume of your work in the screen industry. There's a professional bio and an artist statement that we ask for from you. If you could link us to two prior artistic works that you've worked on in a post-production capacity, that'll give our selection committee some context into your work so far. We are also asking for contact information for two professional references, not reference letters, just the contact information. So you don't need to go and get a letter from anyone. There are a couple of in-depth questions that we'll ask about your area of interest within post-production, your career goals, just so we get a sense of what you're looking for in the program and how the program might be able to serve you. And this is something I think we introduced last year. We're asking for a 2 to 3 minute intro video in response to a specific question that you can find on our portal. This again just gives our selection committee an opportunity to hear from you, to hear, what your take on your place in the industry and your creative processes are. We also include a set of voluntary questions that are related to your self-identification. So application should be easy peasy. We'll talk a little bit about adjudication here. We will note that our selection committee for this program is made up of a diverse group of individuals who represent the industry professionally, and it includes some representatives from our program's community and collaborative partners, as well as other folks at large in the industry, on top of our Canadian Academy team of internal program staff. The committee's deliberations and selections do have to remain confidential throughout the process. Their recommendations are taken together by our team, and we decide the sort of final cohort based on that feedback. Our successful applicants are going to be announced publicly via press release in October 2025 once the selection process is over, and that's also pretty much when we start the program. So some of the selection criteria that the committee looks at pretty strongly is, does this applicant have a demonstrated passion for their area of interest? And do you have a specific area of interest in post-production that you're looking to focus on? And how have you proven, and how have you spoken to your passion for that, for continuing and growing in that area? As well as sort of the flip side of that, what is the strength of this applicant's experience? Does the applicant demonstrate that there has been some commitment to training and working toward, if not that field of interest that you've stated as your area of focus? Otherwise, like, what has this applicant done to show commitment in growth in the Canadian media industry? Emerald can take you through the next couple of months.
Yeah, and I started talking on mute again. But some key dates to take in for this year's program. The application period is from June 18th to July 16th, so it's already open. Internal review of all applicants takes place from July to August 2025. Committee review takes place in August. Video interviews with shortlisted candidates will take place at the end of summer, August, September 2025. Final decisions in September, and the program will start in October.
And once again, we're so needy for your contact. Please do send us your comments and questions related to program guidelines, or if you're looking through the online application and if you have questions there, or if you're going through technical difficulties with the portal, please do send us an email, programs@academy.ca. I'm going to send it in the chat right now as well. Awesome. Okay, that was pretty smooth. So we'll go through some of the rules of using the Q&A again. Please feel free to use either of our official languages to ask your question, but we will focus on answering questions in English for this particular session. If you can make your questions a little bit more general and not that, you did a specific short film in this year about this content and it's this long, then we have a better forum right now to answer those more general questions and your more specific questions. We really welcome you to send those to us in the form of an email where we can really dig deep into it for you. And please be patient with us. Uh, we have a couple of questions already in the Q&A, so feel free to keep putting them in there. We'll stay on for we were planning for about an hour, so we'll try to answer as many written questions as we can in that time. We're not able to take like voice questions or video questions, so if you can write your question in the Q&A box, that is the best way that we can answer those questions. Emerald, I guess I can start. Uh, it's going to be a wild ride. I haven't read this question fully through before saying it, so let me try to paraphrase a little bit. This question asker is saying that they've noticed that a lot of the past participants in the Women in Post program have been mid-career. In order to have a better chance of being accepted into the program at an emerging career level, what is the professional experience or accomplishments that we're looking for from those types of creatives? Thanks for your question. I think that in the past we have. I mean, yes, there definitely have been a lot of mid-career folks who are very intentional about what it was that they wanted to get out of the program. Um, and I think we've had a fair few number of what I would consider quite emerging professionals in this program, and they've been super valuable to the mix of the cohort. And I think they've really taken advantage of a lot of the program. I think that one of the most important things that we're looking for is how clear is it that you know what you want to do with this program? Um, I think like maybe why it's a little bit easier. I wouldn't say they're overrepresented, but maybe it's why it's a little bit easier for mid-career professionals to navigate this application or this program is that often they like know what field they want to look into and what they want to do to advance their career as a part of the program. So if emerging professionals can be really clear in their application of what is the experience that they're looking for, maybe even like what are some types of companies that they're looking to shadow at, what are they looking to learn, that gives our team a much better understanding of whether this program can serve you at this point. We're not really looking for any specific accomplishments or like awards or anything, but it would be helpful to if you have any professional experience that is related to the field that you're looking to focus on in this program, to let us know because um, it gives us a better idea of uh, the commitment, I guess. Again, the strength of experience that you're bringing into this and how intentional that candidate is in continuing to work on that field of focus in our program. I hope that answers it. Emerald, do you want to add anything there?
No, I think that answers it.
Okay, lovely. Do you want to take the next one or?
The next one. So the next question is, if we have films in our portfolio that we have edited and done post-production on, does that qualify? If these films have also hit the festival circuit, I would say yes, these films do qualify. Editing is part of the post-production circuit. So yes, you would be able to apply to the program if you apply with those films as your portfolio films.
Oh my God. Now I'm doing it. Sorry. Thanks for that question. Thanks for the answer, Emerald. I will add that your film, I'm not sure if this is part of your question, but your film doesn't need to have been like released or distributed yet. It can still you can still be looking for festivals to take you. It could have just completed post-production as long as you have access to the clip that you want to submit, then any level of release is okay for us. I can take the next questions. Pretty simple. I'm located near Vancouver. Would I still be able to apply? Yeah, this is a national program. We welcome applications. We really want you to apply if you're interested and you're not located in Toronto. All of our group sessions, all of our group programming will be virtual, so there's not a requirement to be in Toronto basically ever. And we try to make those accessible to folks from coast to coast. The travel piece is, like Emerald mentioned before, it's just if the area of focus that the candidate or the participant wants to focus on in the program really benefits from having like that in-person experience. So if you're looking to shadow a colorist, it's a little bit harder to get all of that set up into your own home and like learn it virtually. In which case we'd look for something that most likely would be like kind of close to your home base so that you're not being like pulled all over the country. But yeah, definitely the programs are designed to be pretty virtual. So please do apply if you are on the West Coast, on the East Coast, anywhere in between.
And I'll take this next question. Could you talk a little bit more about what this program offers to folks mid-career? Sorry. Could you talk a little bit about what this program offers to folks mid-level in their careers? Yes, and I think Nancy can also help me with this question. But what we're doing with individuals who are mid-level in their careers is getting them opportunities that are more focused on meeting people, so networking, as opposed to placements. I found that people who have experience or who have done the festival circuit or who have had films who have been distributed, they know what they're doing. So we try to offer opportunities where you're meeting people on a one-on-one level, having them become your mentors, possibly. That's happened in the past, and just offering you opportunities that would just being the middleman for you in this case.
Yeah, thanks, Emerald. That's a really big part of it. I think another thing is that mid-career is kind of defined differently by a lot of different people. So we've had some folks who identified as mid-career who have just like never had the opportunity to work on a certain type of project. Like maybe they considered themselves mid-career, but they've only worked on independent films. And then they get to see what it's like on a production that services like a long-running TV series, that type of thing. Like I think there are still so many parts of the industry that even if you've gotten to mid-career, you might not have been able to see close up yet. So we are very open to hearing what our selected cohort is interested in shadowing on that level. I would say another thing that sometimes goes a little bit under the radar with programs like this is that it also creates community. That's also a big part of the intention of this. I think Emerald kind of touched on it in the networking aspect, but even like laterally understanding what other women identifying folks and other non-binary folks are in this space, because the program exists because we know that there is this deficit of women identifying and non-binary folks in post. So we've had a lot of positive response to having a space just to like talk about that experience and to build those skills and to know that you have a community to rely on. Often as post is a quite a lonely endeavor, as I'm sure lots of you know.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, we had two colorists in year four on opposite ends of the country, and they both worked alone, but they were doing two completely different things and having them interact with each other and seeing like, this is the tech I use, this is what I use, was really great for them, just to be able to connect with another female colorist and see what they were doing. So community is a huge part of this as well.
Yeah, thanks, Emerald. I can't remember who is next, but I'll take this next question. Can someone with a work permit apply for the program? I confess I'm not super clear on what all the categories are within sort of like Canadian status, but due to some funding obligations we have for this program, we do ask that you are either a permanent resident or a citizen of Canada by the time the program starts. So if by October you're going to have a permanent residency, that's kind of the status qualification that we're looking for.
And I believe this is just a follow-up to a question that was asked before, self-produced films versus hired films. As Nancy stated before, we don't really require for your film to have been released, distributed, or being streamed. Just if you're able to show us what portion you worked on the film or what clip you want to show us, I think that would be enough for your application.
Yeah, so you could have been hired on as a part of the Post team. It could be your film where you're the writer, producer, director, as long as you think it showcases your Post work to the best of your ability. Um, Next question I have here is that this person has a lot of experience in commercial and has worked on independent animation projects. uh, what would be considered having credits in production. I'm not sure what exact if this is like sort of a similar question, but commercial credits in post definitely or in the industry definitely count. Independent productions count, animation counts, so those are all credits that we definitely accept if you're looking to apply.
And I think this next question, what are you looking for from the video? Um, is it intended to be an artistic demonstration, well shot, fancy editing, etc., or just a talking head video to answer the question? So there are two video components. One is a talking head where you answer the question. So that's a 2 to 3 minute video to just introduce yourself to us. And then the second video portion is just submitting a part of a film, series, or something that you worked on to showcase what you did, i.e., color, editing, sound, so we can see what you've worked on.
Yeah, thanks, Emerald. I will really hit home that I think this question is about the intro video that we talked about. You don't have to make it fancy. You can I cannot go into your house and stop you if you would like to, but it's mostly intended for the selection committee to get a sense of who you are as the candidate and not so much like that you need to feel like you need to put your post prowess on show, just to get a sense of like how you see yourself fitting into this industry and this community. Um, Next question I have here is what are the timings of the virtual sessions? So, as much as we would love to be able to give you the schedule of the virtual sessions all the way ahead of time, we aim to go through the couple months of the program with some amount of advance warning for each session. So usually we'll poll our whole cohort about when they're available in the coming weeks for a virtual session. And then we hope to give them at least like a week's warning that a session has been confirmed and it's coming down the pipeline. And ideally, it does fit in into whatever slot the highest number of our participants are available in. In general, the time commitment of this program, not counting the portion with the placement, which, like Emerald mentioned, can be kind of more intensive or less intensive depending on what's available and what the participants' requirements are from that. Usually, we're having sessions like every month to 3 weeks, and those sessions are usually something like an hour and a half. So we don't think of them as the most taxing, and this is definitely considered a sort of a part-time program. You're definitely welcome to still have a job while you're a part of this program.
Okay, and then the next question is, what are you looking for from the artist statement versus the professional bio? The artist statement, as an artist, I feel they could be similar, but Nancy, if you want to speak to that more.
Yeah, thanks, Emerald. I mean, totally understand that these can come off a little bit different. I think we have some guiding questions in the portal as well to give more of a sense of like what finer points you can hit on the artist statement portion of it. I'm just gonna pull it up now, but I will say the professional bio is usually more of just a rundown of where have you been in your career, credits or programs, that type of thing. Uh, Artistic, I can't find it exactly right now, but oh, I can. Okay. So there, you can always go into the portal and like reference these again, but some of the guiding questions here are what drives your passion for the screen-based industry and post-production specifically? How does your general creative vision or approach inform the work that you do? So I mean, for lack of a better way of putting this, it's a little bit more of the sort of getting to know your idea of like where you're at in this industry and what brings you to the industry and what's important to you, rather than sort of credits where you've been, what you've accomplished, which is more the professional bio. It's getting so warm in my apartment. Okay, I can take this next question. I think it's me. What is the time commitment? Is it full-time, part-time? How many hours per week? Okay, I think we already answered this question. Feel free if there's anything that we missed, but definitely part-time, maybe 2 hours every 3 weeks type of thing. For the placement, again, it can vary depending on what the availability of the participant is usually. If like the participant wants to go and shadow 8 hours a day for 2 weeks straight, then that's what we can, try to chase after for that participant. Sometimes folks are like, we have day jobs, so a shadow might be more of a 2 days a week, half days, or even just like evenings for an hour. It can really vary on that side, but we definitely promise we work with the participants to make sure that it works for them.
Mhm. I feel like you could definitely expect me in your inbox all the time, but you don't have to respond as much as I email.
But try your best because Emerald deserves answers.
Respond to emails, yes.
Yep. Um, did you want to take this next one, Emerald?
Sure. Let me read that. Okay, so this is not a paid program of any kind, but is a way to link new professionals with already established professionals as a way to learn. And then the follow-up question is, and then these relationships created in these established professionals with these established professionals will hopefully lead to new professionals being hired. It's simply a way to help networking and skill level directly. Uh, yes, to answer both questions, but to be more in depth for these questions. So it is a way for emerging mid-level and some even established individuals to one, connect with other female and non-binary creatives and professionals in the Canadian films industry. Two, to get access to uh, post houses and individuals that you would typically not have access to. And also to, yes, to help to help individuals who because in post, people mostly work alone, to be able to network with others and to gain those soft skills to move up in the industry. An example would be we had a VFX compositor who wanted to move into post-production supervision, but did not have those soft skills to be able to do so because of the level of intensity of the work that she's done in the past. So we gave her a lot of one-on-one connection opportunities so she can talk to individuals in those positions to gain those soft skills or to learn what type of skills that she needs to um, gain in order to be in a supervisory role. Um, I hope this answers the question, but Nancy, if you want to jump in and add something to it.
Yeah, I'll just kind of reemphasize some of the things that you said as well, Emerald. It's definitely, as we all know, an industry where who you know does matter. So definitely connecting folks with other people in the industry is really important to us and is really important to the folks in the cohorts. There is some level of that skill development as well by the shadowing component and by the conversations and sometimes even workshops that we have as a part of our virtual group session programming. I will say I'll wrap this into the next question I see here as well. It's not a paid internship and it's not like a formal internship program, which I think is kind of what this question is getting at the beginning of it. So in that way, it's not like a paid program, but there is an honorarium that we offer to our participants because we acknowledge that sometimes, you're taking time out of your regular work to attend the group programs or the placements. And we want to acknowledge that like taking time out of your regularly scheduled career in life can maybe like have a cost to it. But it's not a formal internship. Like it just isn't structured that way because of the needs of our participants as well. So I'll get this next question as well. How much is the honorarium? So this does change a little bit year to year, and we haven't fully formalized this piece of it yet. In general, it's a modest honorarium to, again, acknowledge that time is being spent away from possibly like gigs where you would earn money. Last year, it was $2,500 per participant. Um,
And
Emerald.
the next question, I applied last year and didn't make it to the program, even though I fit the criteria, and wanted to shift from documentary to fiction post-production. Was that too specific? Does age play a part in the selection process? Given that this is an anonymous question, I can't really get into specifics, but I don't think if that's too specific, doing the shift from fiction to documentary to fiction. We've had participants in the past who have done documentary, who do fiction, who do animation, video games. So I don't think that was too specific or that age plays a factor in that because we've also had students who are 20 years old and people who have won awards in their 40s. So there is no specific age range that we're looking for. It does get really difficult in the selection process. And yeah, it just probably just not the year for.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, it kind of shifts every year. You know, the other folks who apply are different every year. I would say be as specific as you feel comfortable being and as you know that your goals are in that application, that can only help. And yeah, definitely age not a problem. Please apply to us at any point in your career. I can get this next one. Uh, this person wants to be a post supervisor and works as a studio manager in post sound and come from a production background. Is post supervision covered in the program? Yes, it is. If you want to delve deeper into post supervision, you can definitely find a place in this program. We've had a couple of folks who have been focused on post supervision in this most recent cohort, in fact.
And this next question, if someone has a full-time job, what is the time demand this program would have? Would they need to take time off work, or is this time commitment to be to a part-time extent? Sorry, I can't read today. But to answer the question, I will be in your inbox most of the time. So it is a part-time commitment. We are not demanding too much of your time. We know that people work in the industry or they work in the industry and they do something else. So this is not a full-time commitment. We would be telling you when we have a virtual session, if we have an event going on, when placements are happening, one-on-one chats. And for the most part, you will be working with these mentors and the people who work in post houses on your own. You would be emailing back and forth, figuring out a schedule with them as well. So it works with your schedule and with their schedule as well. But it is as you will get from the program as much as you put in. If you want to have 12 placement sessions, you can email me and I will look for those 12 placement sessions. If you say I only have time for four, that's fine as well. So it is part-time, full-time, as much as you want.
To a point, Emerald's only human, but she does some wonderful work. It's not an info session until we say you get as much as you put in, which is always true of all of our programs. I'll get this next one. I think it's is post sound included in this program? Yes, post sound is very much included. If you want to focus on post sound, you are very welcome to apply. The other question here is 2 credits minimum. From how many years before can they be? They can be old credits. One thing that we want to emphasize in all of our programs is that we know people kind of like can change directions in their career, or they can come back to the media industry after a couple years away. So it doesn't it doesn't matter to us if it's like a little bit of an older credit. Again, the work that you're putting forward, the stuff that you're putting forward in your application, I think the most important thing is that you feel that it represents your abilities the strongest that it could.
And this next question, are there any advantages to applying earlier versus close to the deadline? And I would say the answer is no. We will be pulling the applicants at the end of July 16th, and we'll be going through all the applicants at that time.
There's no like strategic, like you don't get more consideration at the beginning, but I would say because this is an application with a couple of different parts, if you want to look at that application in the portal, like you don't have to start filling it out or anything, but just to like take a look at what is required and how those questions are elaborated on. We didn't go through every question in detail in this info session. So take a look earlier and submit earlier if you can, because as you're getting close to that deadline, that portal does close. And I mean, me personally, when that happens, it stresses me out. So I would recommend not doing it on the very last day if you can avoid it. This next question is that this person has applied before but didn't have a specific post house in mind for a placement. How important is it to know where we want to be placed? Um, it's a good question. I think that it can really depend. The short answer, I think, is that if you don't have specific post houses in mind, that's totally okay, and that doesn't go against you in your application at all. But I think that there are just a lot of factors that go into the more you look into the industry, the more you have a specific idea of what you want to focus on. Um, those all work in tandem with like making whatever the experience of this program is and whatever that placement is as effective as possible because you come in with like those questions. If you can suggest to us if you have any idea of like what post houses you might want to work with, it gives us a better idea of like what you're looking for as well. So that kind of helps us get a better sense of where you're at, but it's like definitely not a requirement. Uh, we do recognize that part of the reason people come to this program is because they don't have those connections yet. But if you have a dream, put it in the application. It helps us to know. Emerald.
Yeah. The next question is film composing, music editing considered in this post program? Yes. So that would be considered part of sound, and sound is post. So yes, you can apply as a film composer, music editor, sound designer, etc.
I'm going to take three questions in one go. Sorry for being obnoxious, everyone, but these seem kind of quick. So the question is, do I have to have a project on hand to apply? No, this is not really a project-based program. So you don't focus on one specific project in the program anyway. You can have something that you're working on for sure, but not all of our programming will be geared toward moving one particular project that you have forward. Another question is, if you came late to the session, is it possible to receive this info via email? Yes, you can definitely just email us. Um, we can we can also like if you email us, we can also point you to once it's uploaded on our YouTube, we can just like give you this recording as well if you want it in that format. And then this question is, what software do you learn as a part of this program? This one's a little bit variable. Uh, we usually don't have like uniform technical software classes for folks in our cohort because most people are coming from different disciplines within post-production. So that's usually within the placement that we allow participants to explore more fully if there is like particular software that they want to learn more about. And then that gets sort of negotiated out per the participant's own needs. So you can specify to us what it is that you want to spend more time learning about at that point. We do sometimes have workshops that are focused on sort of more specific technical skills that everyone can sit in on. But at the beginning of the program, we just solicit like information from our fully selected cohort on what is interesting and important to them in the next step of their career. And if everyone aligns on software that they all want to get a better look into, then we might be able to program something as a group for that. Basically, short answer, you decide what you want to focus on, including what technical skills you want to build.
And then the next question, any thoughts on what element of the application is most important in the selection process? Is there one application piece that we should give more time and attention to in hopes of resonating with the jury selection committee? I think that varies from juror to juror. I know that the CV definitely should look polished and like you've taken some time to work on it. This is basically your resume for the industry. The video, although it is an important component, I don't think it matters if it's filmed on an iPhone 16 or a potato, so long as we're able to see who you are and be introduced to you and like get your personality out. I think that is a an important component as well. Being able to answer the questions succinctly, like you look like you've taken your time answering the questions. Doesn't matter if it's full sentences or point form, so long as you have those details in there. So I think there are different sections of the application that are important, but really just looking like you've taken your time to answer the questions, that you've answered the questions correctly, and that you've double checked your work, polished it, and let your personality shine through in the video component.
I'll speak personally that some elements that I usually find are really helpful are having like a clear CV and a clear story there. The artistic pieces are obviously helpful. Just bring your best post work to those. That's all we ask there. And then yeah, clarity in the rest of your answers about your intentions for your career, for your next steps. We really just want to understand where you're at. And I know that's a little bit wishy-washy. It's not like spend one full week on your CV, but clarity is like probably the most helpful aspect of your application.
Uh,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
go for it, Emerald. If you had another one you had your eye on.
Yeah. The next one is I understand part of the application process is answering questions. Will those questions be on your website? So all the questions are in the portal. Like we mentioned before, you can sign up with your current Gmail account or create a Google account and just look at the questions. You don't have to answer them on the first go. But once you log in, you will have created an account and you can just take a look at the questions.
Please do check out the portal. Sorry, I'm always jumping in. I've just decided I'm off mute for the whole thing now. I'll do two and one again, just to be quick. So this person is a little bit newer to post, and they're asking what that entails. Yeah, post-production. We're not talking about writing, directing, editing here. Post-production, sound, color, VFX, composing we've had recently. So things in the post-production process. Post-supervision we've talked about. And the next one I'll take here is what type of credit do we receive if we complete the program? This isn't we're not like an educational institution, so there isn't a formal like credit or degree. It's a talent development program. It's like a professional development program, and we don't have a certificate for you, unfortunately, but we like to think that there is some good quality networking and some good quality career advancement that comes in with it.
I'll mute again. The next question is, are there resources in this program for people who want to be music supervisors? And the answer is yes. Sound happens to be one of the most popular ones. I found for year four, we were able to find a lot of placement opportunities and one-on-one opportunities for our soundies. And we do have some partners that would be able to connect our participants with people who want to work as music supervisors as well.
Okay, I'll do two. How many applicants on average do we get per cycle? I feel like that's somewhere in the like 60 to 80 range. I maybe like it's been a couple of different years of this program now, but we're getting up there. It's not insurmountable, but it is a really exciting and big pool. So we're really grateful that there has been so much interest, and we know there's so much talent now in this industry in this country. Um, is there an age limit to apply? There's not an age limit for sure. You have to be at least 19 years or older though.
Do we have to look for a mentor or a post-production company? Yes and no. I will ask if you have any post houses or individuals that you want to be connected with, but for the most part, we will look for them for you. And depending on where you're located, we'll try to get you in to those post houses for placements, walking tours, meet and greets, one-on-ones.
Sorry, folks. I just wanted to note that we've planned for about 10 more minutes of this info session, so that's why I'm really sprinting. through these. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions that we don't get to at the end of this. So this next question is, what qualities or experiences have made past successful candidates stand out in the selection process? Um, and Emerald, feel free to think about this as well, because it's so qualitative. I think some things that can always make people stand out is when they've clearly been working towards something for a couple of years in their career and they just like haven't had that opportunity yet. That's one of the more common stories that we hear in this industry that we try to make space for. So it's kind of like that strength of experience adjudication category that we've talked about, that there has been the commitment that this candidate has like really been driving at something and working towards something for a while, but just is like needing that connection or another opportunity like this. I think that also, again, this isn't like exactly an experience, but I guess it's a quality. It's just like knowing what you want out of the program, and if there is any specific plan you have in place as an applicant for like how you would use the opportunity in the program. Again, like anyone you would want to meet, what you'd want to get out of those meetings, post houses specifically, if you can like share those. It's not that any of those are required information in your application, but I think it helps us get a sense that this is a person who's like really trying to make the most out of the opportunity in the program. So that's always really helpful to me personally. Emerald, do you want to add anything?
No, I think that's that's it for that question.
Cool.
But I will take three, and they're all related to
Okay.
editing. And I will say, yes, editing is included in the program. We've worked with participants who have gone to post houses for editing and have had one-on-one chats with editors. So yes, editing is included in post-production.
Thanks, Emerald. I don't even know what those questions were. I think we're making good time, so I'm going to take a breath. This next question is, we need to choose between audio and visual focus in the placements. Um, I would say, like, I would ask that folks come to us with a bit of a focus, like a decision on what they want to work on. I think split focus, it's not, even though it seems it, I think it's like not the longest program in the world. So being able to really build on the other things, other experiences that have kind of gone in one direction in this program is, I think, just like has historically been a more effective way to utilize the program. So we would recommend that you do choose like one area of interest in post-production to be the focus that you want to put on during this program. We know that a lot of you are multi-hyphenates and you do a lot, but it helps us get a sense of like what we're programming for you.
And then there's a question, can we ask via email a review or notes on applications that weren't selected last year? Unfortunately, we're not able to share past applicants' responses just for confidentiality. And I don't believe that we're able to give individual notes on applicants who have applied and didn't get into the program and are applying again. But Nancy, if you can jump in here, I believe that we're able to give generic or general feedback.
Yeah, so first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much to anyone who's applied in the past and is considering reapplication. It's definitely not like count yourself out because you didn't get selected in your first year of applying. So we always encourage a reapplication if the program still sounds like it's of interest to you. Um, while we can't share the specifics of like confidential deliberations or like the decisions that went into why certain people were selected in a certain year, feel free to reach out to us and we can kind of speak to, like, given your experience with past applications, what are what are we like likely to be looking for in this year? Where do you want to spend your time like shoring up pieces of your application? And also, we can talk a little bit about, as a reapplicant, a lot of these pieces will be the same, right? Like your professional bio won't be that different unless you've had a banner year, in which case, congratulations. But how do we position some of these pieces that you might have submitted previously so that it shows growth for this year, so that that can be highlighted for the selection committee. So feel free to reach out to us about that if that is still a question you're working through in your mind. Emerald, anything else you want to take?
Take the next one, or
You can feel free. I think you marked one as you were answering it, and I'm just not sure if you want to answer it.
oh yeah, I'll go through it. Does
Still
the
see
portal
it.
allow us to start the application and come back to it later? Yes. So like I mentioned before, you can create a Google account or sign in with your Gmail account and go through the portal questions and just take a look at what they are. And the next time you go into the website and the portal, you'll already be logged in and you'll see your progress. So none of the answers will be erased. Everything will be there.
Please take a look at the application portal. Don't look at it the day before. I get nervous for you. Please look at it ahead of time. And yeah, it'll save your progress. This question, what role does Netflix play in the program? Netflix is our very valued partner. Thank you so much, Netflix. The day-to-day administration of this program is run by our team at the Canadian Academy, but there are some opportunities to reach out to our partners at Netflix for, we've had a couple people shadow some productions that Netflix has been working on. It just kind of depends on the like capacity of both parties in that case. Um, but yeah, they're definitely very valued partners. But as with everything in this program, it just like depends on what is needed for that participant. Eh, Let me know if there's anything else I wrote. Otherwise, I can try to blitz through.
Mhm. This is another editing question. Would you? No, we don't need anything specific. For editors, we don't need any of the fancy titles that you've had, assistant editor, supervisor, sound designer, any of those types of things. You would just let us know what your field of interest is. So it'd be picture editing, sound, color, VFX, and that could include animation or compositing. And that is good enough for your application. And throughout the program, that's when you can get more specific and say, I currently am in sound and I would like to go into sound supervision, or I'm in post production. I'm a coordinator post production and I would like to become a post production supervisor. So there is no need for to explain that you are currently working as an assistant editor. I myself, I work as a documentary filmmaker, and I don't think that you should be putting yourself as like assistant edit anything when you're writing your CV or doing those things. Just let your ego flow and say that you're an editor, you are a post-production supervisor, and just lie about your title essentially. But no, but on the application, you don't need to tell us specifically, but in the program, we can have a one-on-one and you can tell me that I would like to go into supervision, and then the whole program will change and we're going to be looking at ways to get you into those roles as shadowing or just having conversations with people.
So I'll add something onto that, but I'll note that we have two more questions after this. I'm absolutely confident I can blitz through it. So we might go like a minute or so over our time and then we'll wrap up today. I've also just put the email address for our team in the chat again if you want to reach out to us. One thing I would say in the way that these programs kind of do selection is that they're not job interviews. So I think sometimes people take a tack and they're very familiar with like writing answers to sort of like job screening questions or like writing their CV toward that end. This is a program that recognizes that there are opportunities for growth for folks in the industry, and we're trying to provide those things. So you don't have to like present the most polished, like I'm so totally capable of doing everything that your program presents already. We want to know where you think your journey will go and where the next piece of that growth is. So I would say like maybe don't think of it so much in the sort of like professional job interview application sort of positioning of your materials. Okay,
And
very quickly. Oh, sorry.
yeah, just to add on to that, because we did mention in the like the video question, just like if you're like a nervous Betty or like anxiety, like I do too, I think that would be a benefit to you to showcase that as opposed to just pretending to be something that you're not or being like if you're uncomfortable, like I think that's also a benefit because it shows your personality and it does also show like how people in post-production work behind the scenes, behind the camera. And I think that being honest and vulnerable in that sense would be a benefit to you as well.
Definitely show us who you are in that application. Sorry, Emerald. I think that's what you were saying. Okay, last two questions, and then we will let all of you go. Are we able to use projects, short films, music videos, etc., that we've created in school as eligible credits? Yes, you can. You can also use those as your like linked videos if you think that that represents your best work in post-production so far. And can we give an approximate time when we'll be reaching out to our professional references? Yes, you will know that that might be happening. We don't tend to reach out to references until even like after the interview stage. So it's not going to come as a surprise to you that you've kind of like gotten to a point when that might be possible. Um, Thank you all so much for your time today. I know it's been a long one. And if you have any other questions, please do send us an email. The application window is open for a couple more weeks now, so we're really excited to see what you all have in store for us. Anything you want to say, Amrod?
No, thank you so much for joining, and we hope that we were able to answer your questions as thoroughly as possible. And please feel free to email us with any further questions you have in French or in English.
Thank you all so much.